They say timing is everything. In this episode of the Happy Accidents podcast, I explore the incredible power of timing through two true stories that highlight how serendipity can shape our lives in unexpected ways. The first story is about a life-saving gift. Discover how a seemingly ordinary gift given at the perfect moment ends up saving a life. This heartwarming tale shows the profound impact that thoughtful timing can have on the course of events. Story number 2 is about a remarkable misprint. Hear about how an accidental misprint in an advertisement leads to an extraordinary act of kindness. This story reminds us that even the smallest errors can sometimes result in the most beautiful outcomes when they occur at the right time. Tune in to hear the inspiring stories that underscore the saying, timing is everything. Hey there, friends. This is Dennis Geelen, author of the Happy Accidents newsletter and the book, The Accidental Solopreneur. Welcome to another episode of the Happy Accidents podcast, where we dive into true stories of wildly successful people, products, or businesses, all of which can trace their success back to a chance encounter, a serendipitous event, or a fluke invention. In each episode, we unravel the tales of unexpected triumphs and the remarkable journeys that led to their incredible success. I'm on a mission to explore the fascinating world of happy accidents, and I'm thrilled to have you along for the ride. So, why should you tune in? Well, besides the entertainment value of these incredible stories, there's a hidden treasure trove of lessons that we can learn from them. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a creative mind, or simply someone who enjoys a good narrative, this podcast is your go-to source for inspiring stories and valuable insights. Get ready for a roller coaster ride of surprises, a dash of luck, and a sprinkle of wisdom. This is the Happy Accidents podcast, where success meets serendipity. Let's jump into today's adventure. All right, in this episode of the podcast, I want to focus on a couple of different stories that revolve all around timing. Either the right place at the right time or wrong place, wrong time. The first story, which is going to kind of set the stage for this discussion, is another one from the book I've shared a few different times that I read earlier this year. The book is called Fluke by Brian Klaas, and tons of great stuff in here if you're into happy accidents and chaos and serendipity and randomness. But there's a story he shares right off the bat at the start of chapter 10, and I want to read it because it's going to help frame the next story that I'm going to share, which was a story I actually wrote about in the Happy Accidents newsletter several months ago. So here's the story from Fluke that Brian Klaas shares. This one will probably tug at your heartstrings a little. Joseph Lott is alive because he chose the right day to wear a green shirt. Elaine Greenberg, the woman who saved Lott's life, is dead because she took her vacation 1 week too early. If necessity is the mother of invention, then timing is the mother of contingency. Flies buzz around roads constantly and usually harmlessly, but every so often, a fly zips into a motorcycle's eye, causing a crash. Two unrelated trajectories are brought together in arbitrary, seemingly random ways by the unshakable mysteries of time. Such Cornet contingency of two unrelated paths converging in a specific place at a specific time can produce death by a millisecond. We are at time's mercy. He goes on, in the autumn of 2001, Elaine Greenberg took a vacation in Tanglewood, Massachusetts. While there, she spotted a necktie she knew her co-worker would love, featuring Monet's Sunset of Lavacourt. Her colleague, Joe Lott, was known for wearing ties with paintings on them, and Greenberg knew Impressionist paintings were his favorite. Awfully nice, she's thinking of him. She bought the tie, figuring it would be a nice gesture for Lott, who was due to fly to New York City the following week for a work conference. Now, you might already see where this is heading. This is New York. This is, does he give the date? Yeah, 2001, autumn 2001, New York City. So you might be able to see what's coming here. On the Monday before the conference, Lot got on the plane. But with storms across the country that evening, the flight, which should have taken a few hours, took 14 instead. Lot arrived in Lower Manhattan well past midnight, with the long journey leaving him looking a bit worse for wear. He'd been due to have dinner with Greenberg so they could go over their presentation together before the conference, but was forced to reschedule. They agreed to have an early breakfast instead. Before Lot collapsed exhausted onto his hotel bed, he set out his clothes for the next day. As he did so, he realized his crisp white dress shirt that he'd been planning to wear for the conference was crumpled and wrinkled. The next morning, Lot woke up, took one look at his crumpled white shirt, and felt glad he had brought a spare, a pastel green one that would do the trick. At 7:20 a.m., he arrived at the hotel breakfast room where Greenberg helped him go over the presentation. At the end of breakfast, around 8:15 a.m., she handed Lot her gift, the Monet tie, with the shimmering blues of the Seine set against fiery red-orange sky and sunset. Lot was touched. He thanked her, and to show he meant it, he said, "Elaine, I'm going to put this tie on and wear it today for good luck." She shot back, "Not with that shirt, you're not." Lot laughed, but agreed. Even he knew that the tie would clash horrendously with pastel green. He decided to return to his hotel room to swap shirts, even if it meant being a few minutes late. "See you shortly," Lot said. Greenberg waved goodbye, then went up to the conference venue on the 106th floor of Tower 1 of the World Trade Center. Lot returned to his hotel room and began to iron his wrinkled white shirt. It took him about 15 minutes, long enough that he was still getting ready when the first plane hit the tower at 8:46 a.m. Lot survived. Greenberg died. Lot now exclusively wears art ties, a subtle tribute to his lost friend, and that little piece of fabric, a thoughtful gift timed perfectly to save his life. Wow, that is a real, like I said, tugs at the heartstrings. It's a true story of just fate and timing and how all that played together. And in one person's case, the timing was perfect to save his life. In the other person's case, not so much. And really want to just share that story, because it's a compelling story, and I think it also frames what we're going to talk about next, which is a happy accident from a fun story that I shared a few months ago in my newsletter. This story is also about timing, also about just some contingent things happening at the same time, but a much more pleasant ending to it. See if you can recognize what's going on here. In 1955, a Colorado Springs newspaper advertisement by Sears aimed to connect children with Santa Claus through a hotline. This was a new idea. However, a printing mishap altered the phone number, redirecting the calls to the Continental Air Defense Command, or CONAD, NORAD's precursor. Whoops. Calls were coming to the wrong place. And on one fateful night, Colonel Harry Shoup, rather than dismissing the wrong calls, turned it into an opportunity to spread holiday cheer. Answering the first unexpected call, Colonel Shoup found himself speaking to a child eagerly anticipating Santa's voice. Instead of shattering the illusion, Shoup and his team decided to play along, offering updates on Santa's supposed location. This impromptu act of kindness laid the foundation for what would eventually become the NORAD Santa Tracker. as NORAD, or North American Aerospace Defense Command, was established in 1958, the accidental tradition of tracking Santa's journey continued. Recognizing the community's enthusiasm, NORAD embraced the role of Santa's official tracker, making it an annual event. Evolving with technology, the NORAD Santa Tracker now involves a dedicated team of volunteers and a high-tech setup. The website allows people worldwide to follow Santa's sleigh as he spreads festive joy. We eagerly await Santa's journey again every Christmas. So let's remember that sometimes the most magical moments begin with an unplanned twist. So, long story short, NORAD Santa Tracker originated in 1955 when a Sears ad misprinted the hotline number, accidentally directing calls to the Continental Air Defense Command, which later became NORAD. Colonel Harry Shoup, who answered the calls, turned the mistake into a heartwarming tradition by providing updates on Santa's location. So it began as a wrong number, evolved into a beloved global phenomenon, blending holiday cheer with cutting-edge technology and volunteer spirit. There's some obvious overlap between these two different stories. A, the timing. B, the decisions that the people made with regards to those unexpected opportunities coming their way. In the one case, a long flight gets delayed, the guy's shirt gets wrinkled, he doesn't have the proper shirt to go with the new tie that he's just received on the morning that the World Trade Center is going to be hit by 2 planes. Due to this timing, due to this new gift, he decides to go back to his room, iron his shirt, and those decisions, those contingent events, meant that he missed the conference at the time that the planes hit the World Trade Center. A devastating result. On the other hand, we've got this story about the NORAD Santa Tracker. Again, a contingent event, a misprinted phone number means unexpected opportunities land in this guy's lap, Colonel Harry Shoup. He decides to run with it, and the next thing you know, years later, this tradition is born that goes on to this day. 50, 60 years later, we're still doing the NORAD Santa Tracker, and it's only grown. So many different parallels between these stories, both of them due to timing, both of them due to contingent events, both of them due to decisions that were made on the part of the people who had these unexpected things happen to them or land in their lap. Couple lessons from the NORAD Santa Tracker one that I documented back in the newsletter. Lesson number 1, adaptability matters. Colonel Shoup's quick thinking and adaptability turned an accidental situation into a cherished tradition. Being open to unexpected turns can lead to delightful outcomes. Lesson number 2, community connection. NORAD Santa Tracker exemplifies the power of connecting with communities. A simple act of kindness can resonate far better than its initial intent. And lesson number 3, embracing tradition. What started as an accident became a tradition that spans generations. Embracing and building on unexpected successes can create lasting legacies. Just before I sign off on this episode, I can't help but wanting to play the what if game here on both of these stories. What if Elaine didn't decide to pick up that tie for her friend? She was obviously trying to do an act of kindness, knew that he loved these ties, was going to meet him in New York at this conference, picked out this tie for him. If she hadn't have done that, would they have both been in the World Trade Center at the time that the first plane hit? What if his shirt wasn't wrinkly and he didn't have to go back and iron it? What if his flight hadn't been delayed and he got there on time and his shirts were already nicely pressed the night before? He could have just put that tie on and never had to go back to his hotel room. What if? In the case of the NORAD Santa Tracker, obviously, had they printed the right phone number in the advertisement in the first place, this may never have happened. Probably wouldn't have. And also, what if it wasn't Colonel Harry Shoup that answered the phone? Would somebody else had decided to go along, or would they just said, sorry, you got the wrong number? Or what if when Colonel Harry Shoup did answer the phone, he was in a bad mood that day and didn't decide to play along, didn't decide to spread some holiday cheer? So many different events had to happen. So many different decisions had to fall into place. The timing just had to be perfect for both of these incidents to play out the way they did. Tons of lessons here, tons of things we can take away from this. And the biggest one is so many things are just outside of our control. We control nothing, but influence everything. Hey, thanks for tuning into the Happy Accidents podcast. I hope you find these stories as intriguing and insightful as I do, but make sure you don't miss an episode. You can subscribe to my Accidental Solopreneur channel on YouTube and watch these episodes in video form, or subscribe to the Happy Accidents podcast on Apple and Spotify for your listening pleasure. Until next time, stay lucky, my friends.